Welcome to episode 19 of The Leap Home, Catch a Falling Star.
In this week's episode, Sam must prevent a drunken actor taking a fall and putting a premature end to his career. But things take a dramatic turn when first, a love from Sam's past shows, and next he's led to believe she's involved with the man he has to save. With his heart and pride wounded, will he complete his task? Or do we finally get to see what happens when a leap goes wrong?
Ducks and geese, not pigs and dogs. Ducks?
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not pigs and dogs? They scurry too.
Good afternoon, Ian. How are we?
Not too bad, Gerry. How are you?
Trying to work out whether or not it's ducks or geese. I'm confused.
Boots and cats and boots and cats. We've already talked about Duck Duck Goose in the podcast this season, so...
Heads down, thumbs up, thumbs up, I don't know.
Let's move on swiftly. Love a musical? You partial yourself?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, this went well.
It did go well. I'm not entirely convinced by the episode.
No? You had problems with it?
I had problems with Sam's recurring behaviour.
Well, Sam's being Sam.
He certainly is. Big time.
There's plenty to talk about, and there's some good trivia.
Is there?
Yeah.
Look forward to that. What else has been happening? Anything?
Well, the new rebooted Quantum Leap premiered this week for us, so a few weeks ago for listeners.
Yeah. I have decided not to watch it.
Same. I'm going to wait till we get to it on this run.
Don't want any spoilers.
Even imagined spoilers.
Yeah. Perceived.
Yeah.
Anything interesting been happening with you?
Not really. Yeah.
I've started watching the Gary Shandling show.
Really?
Yeah.
That's an interesting choice.
I've went through about the first 2 or 3 seasons so far. It's a show and a character I have been aware of, but never watched. So there's things that are slightly different from what I thought it would be, but it's very good.
Yeah.
And there's actually, I think there's a number of Quantum Leap connections with that show, as well as Star Trek and Columbo.
Well, that keeps us engaged anyway. Mm-hmm. You mean going to see all the new remastered Star Trek movies at the cinema?
No, caught the first one.
Just the first one?
Missed the others.
Your least favourite of all the movies?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Social media. Let's talk about that very briefly. We've got the usual places where you can get hold of us. Instagram and Twitter, where we're at Leap Home Podcast. Facebook, where we're at The Leap Home. TheLeapHome.com, where you find our posts for each and every episode, and also our very favourite YouTube channel, Columbo Podcast Productions, where each episode appears 1 week early. You can leave your thoughts and comments there. You can like it, you can subscribe, and you can ask for notifications by hitting that bell button, which we really appreciate. It does help us out.
Remind me, what is the Snapchat address? Is it an address?
No.
That's not, what is it?
It's top secret.
But is that what you call it? Do you call it an address?
I don't know.
What's your SC? Is that what they say?
I think they've launched a feature you can now use Snapchat on your computer. So people
on your computer.
Expanding the audience from mobile devices to those few hundred folk that still use a desktop.
I was going to say who uses that. Anyway, we're rambling.
As always.
No one likes that.
Well, maybe they like it better than what follows. You don't know.
I suggest we crack on. What is the message this week?
Sam's catch-up lesson is about Shakespeare and the fact that all the world's a stage and all the entrances and exits and so on, but he finds it a bit ridiculous that he's expected to actually be an actor.
I mean, I thought the message this week was very appropriate considering his...
Well, he's in and out all over the place, yeah.
Yeah, playing all these different parts. That's exactly what he had, well, what he should be. Not always what he is.
He doesn't actually do any acting, does he? He doesn't try to be like the people.
Always. It's that type of character who always plays themselves.
Yes, and everything that they're in.
Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger just being a commando or a kindergarten teacher.
Who's a bit like a commando.
Yeah. Where do we begin?
In I think a dressing room.
Yep.
I say it's a makeup lady. I think she's got a more senior role. She's maybe just helping out with the makeup.
I think she does a bit of everything. I liked her. She always had a cigarette hanging from her mouth, and she was the type of woman you could go for a pint with.
Perhaps, yes. I liked the fact that when she looked in the mirror, the other woman had the cigarette hanging out the same side of her mouth.
Did you?
Yeah, that's how they do their reflections, apparently.
Right, there you go.
Someone who just looks a bit like her.
I think her name's Dolores.
Okay.
She is applying a fake moustache to Sam, who is Ray in this episode.
He is, and a man comes in. We later learn what's his name.
Charlie.
Yes, he says quite a lot in this scene, but I think most of it's been overdubbed. I think they must have changed what they wanted him to do.
Really? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, out of sync. But I think the countdown's not quite the same.
Sure.
That's what he's actually saying.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think what's happening here is Sam is obviously very tense. He's just leapt into a new scenario, and she's telling him, look, you look great. She thinks it's nerves for a potential performance.
Yes. And yeah, he's immediately thrust into this countdown scenario.
Yeah, now this countdown causes Dolores to chastise Charlie. She says it's not a rocket launch, it's just a musical.
Yeah.
Two things about that. One, this is surely the standard procedure every night. You do a countdown. Why would you just do it this one night?
Yeah, of course.
And secondly, I thought that would be a great future episode. Sam is either an astronaut or he's in the control room.
And the countdown goes off?
Yeah, it would be typical of the show to do that, to pick these historical moments. I'm assuming that might come up.
Some of the Apollo missions will be in his lifetime.
Yeah. If you're looking for big events, it would be an obvious one.
Well, let's wait and see. We get the credits and then we come back to the theatre and we're told it's May the 21st, 1979.
Is this the first episode that you have been born?
No, I wasn't born by May the 21st, 1979.
Oh, why not? I'll edit that out then.
First one in your lifetime, perhaps?
Yeah. Maybe the boxing one. When was that? Is that 77? Don't know. Anyway.
There's two women on stage dancing as a minstrel sits up the back of the stage playing away.
And we see Charlie rage at someone called Manny, who is on the phone rather than the stage where he should be.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
the performance begins in a few seconds and he's on the phone to his mother.
I mean, I think this obviously shows you, or could show you, that he's so experienced, they're so relaxed, or it's not such a high profile, it's not Broadway, where everything's a little bit more
professional.
Yeah.
It does seem a bit odd that they've got a phone with an outside line right next to the stage.
Do you think?
Well, I've not been in that many theatres. I don't remember ever seeing anything like that. I can understand like an internal thing that you're ringing to the dressing rooms or whatever, but...
You certainly wouldn't want it to ring.
No, exactly. One of the girls who's dancing with her back to the audience tells Sam to break a leg. However, it's not to be.
And Manny, he mutters that he can't believe he keeps turning her down.
Yes, that Sam keeps turning her down. Yes, to this girl who's, yes.
Because he said he would kill just to do her laundry.
Well, we'll see what happens with that later on.
And at this point, a thespian called John saunters over and is clearly well lubricated, but has no qualms about taking the stage as the Man of La Mancha in place of Sam.
I think that's probably a relief for Sam. Yeah,
so just to be clear, Sam is waiting there in case John doesn't turn up. I think he has a reputation of being a bit of a drinker.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is how it normally works. If you're the understudy, do you get changed and wait in the wings every night?
I wouldn't have thought so. I think normally your understudies would have other parts in the show. They'd be in the chorus or something.
Yeah.
Because you can't just have someone who you're paying to be in the show and sitting there not doing anything.
Precisely. And also, even if he has this reputation, I'm assuming that he is always capable, even though he is a drunk.
Yeah.
He turns up and performs, and that's...
so it seems.
Yeah. Anyway.
He calls Sam an imposter as he rips his moustache off and takes his book.
He does. But thanks him as he stumbles backwards. Sam also gets an apology from Charlie and Dolores, who remind him that there's always the next night. And with relief, he watches from the wings as John takes a small bow.
Indeed. Al shows up at this point. He's intoxicated by the theatre.
Utterly enthralled by the whole thing, including the girls, and admits that he loves the place, especially the roar of the grease paint and the smell of the crowd.
Sam asks him if he's got those back to front, but he doesn't think so.
I was thinking as well, in this episode, at least Sam has a potential excuse for talking to himself. He can be practicing lines, yeah. You wouldn't look out of place mumbling to yourself.
No, probably okay.
Yeah. At this point, they walk from the wings backstage, where Al tells Sam he's a touring actor called Ray Hutton, and then proceeds to get carried away, misquoting Oklahoma.
As we heard, yeah. He then gives Sam advice on the best way to remove his stage makeup, which raises a few questions for Sam.
But Al then reveals the theatre was his means of leaving the orphanage. He chose this over a life of boxing or crime or something else.
Those are your three choices.
Yeah, well, I think in fairness, he does say education.
He talks about it being the oldest profession, doesn't he?
He does, or the second oldest.
He's not sure.
Acting, the first oldest is also
form of acting.
Yeah, potentially.
He tells Sam at this point that Ray never makes it as an actor, and this is the closest he ever gets to his big break. That's sad.
It is sad. However, what I would say is when you say never really making it, he is a working actor here who is very highly regarded. Now, most actors, getting a regular job and getting paid touring the local theatres is all you can hope for. I mean, a tiny percentage of stars who
on Broadway
who make it, so I don't think that. I think it's unfair that he's not really made it. If you're earning a living out of that, that's your profession.
Well, we know that Sam and I are quite judgmental about other people's jobs.
Yeah. In fairness, maybe he is judging him by his talent, so he was good enough to have been bigger.
They enjoy watching John O'Malley do a bit more performing, but Sam, I think, seems a bit intimidated here.
Oh yeah, he's unnerved for sure because he knows that this is what he is expected to do as an understudy.
I noticed that O'Malley had one blue eye and one brown eye.
Really?
It's quite rare.
It is. Do you know someone else, another famous person with that condition?
Max Scherzer, the baseball pitcher.
Never heard of him.
Very famous.
He's not.
Yes, he is.
He's not as famous as my example.
Who's your example?
David Bowie.
Yes, also famous.
Mm-hmm.
I'll concede David Bowie is famous.
Okay.
Sam thinks that he doesn't know the lyrics to these songs, but Al explains to him that when they started the Quantum Leap project and built the imaging chamber, this was the musical that Sam insisted they listen to over and over again.
That would be torture. I mean, even if you like it.
Over and over, yeah.
All the time. I mean, I think, the song they're referring to is To Dream the Impossible Dream.
That's the one song I know from this musical.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. He insists that the rest will come back to him.
After being impressed by a bit more acting, Al explains that in 3 days, O'Malley is going to fall, break his leg and hip, and end his career.
Sam sarcastically says, well, all I've got to do is stop him from tripping. And it must be easy to get a drunk like John dry in a space of 3 days.
Al suggests as an alternative he gets him so drunk that he can't perform at all.
That's not a bad idea.
It's not terrible.
So all you have to do is make sure someone doesn't fall.
Yes.
There are many, many ways that you can achieve this, I would have thought.
Absolutely, make him fall somewhere else.
Yeah, although I suppose what Sam does say here is that it has to be something that doesn't involve him taking his place.
Yes, he's not very keen on that idea, but Al explains to him that that's Syracuse, which is way, 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 way off Broadway. So he's fine, his singing's perfectly good enough for this level. And
he also says quite passionately that he cannot pass up the chance to be a star. Al's living his dream through.
We already know from the Mafia episode that Sam can sing, though.
Yes, he can. And
you'd think he'd remember.
We know apparently as well that he played Carnegie Hall.
With his piano, yeah. His musical, yeah.
If you are a piano virtuoso, I mean, these people at that level, they're all, even if you're not a singer, you've got an ear.
Absolutely.
And you also wouldn't be intimidated playing on stage in front of a large audience.
Unless you had some sort of anxiety-related condition.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Sam then gets a bit of a start.
What's that?
He recognises somebody.
Who?
At the far side of the stage, it's his old piano teacher, Nicole.
What are the chances?
I think it's very slim.
Very.
Sam's convinced that she's recognised him, and yet again Al has to explain to him that she's recognised Ray.
Yeah, now this is where it all starts to get very cringy.
It's a bit like the Donna episode.
I'll get to Donna later. He says this is the first woman he ever loved. And there's plenty to follow, isn't there?
Yeah, well,
not the last.
Every couple of weeks.
I mean, even as a kid, he loved too much. He couldn't just have a schoolboy crush like, I fancy my teacher.
Yeah,
he has to go.
I thought she was pretty.
Yeah, but no. He's claiming he loved her here. This is showing that even from a childhood, he's got these issues, these needs. Don't know what it is, but he can't just be a normal adolescent boy.
No, he's got a problem. Yeah. He also notes that when he loved her, he was 15 and she was 25, but she's not too old for him now. It's a fairly creepy line.
It's very, well, I suppose the other way might have been more creepy, but he cannot let this lie. It's even if he does have these feelings, he should be professional enough to say, well, okay, I am not who she thinks I am.
I'm not going to break this other guy's life.
Just so I can...
For a personal thing, yeah.
Yeah, I can live out my adolescent fantasy here. It's outrageous, actually.
Yeah.
What he's doing.
I would agree.
And not just that, but he's absolutely deluded. The way he thinks that she can sense who he really is.
Madness.
It's quite a sinister character, well, borderline sinister character trait that Sam has.
I agree.
I mean, I think it's more sinister and more offensive and more icky than Al. Al's just a good old-fashioned sexist and philanderer, and but he wears his heart on his sleeve, as it were. I don't think he's not creepy. He doesn't, in the sense, he doesn't try to hide. He's very overt.
Yeah.
You know where you are with Al, and women know where they are as well. But Sam is
surreptitious. Yes,
and he's been devious here. He's using all sorts of, I don't know. Well, I do know, actually, yeah. I don't like it.
Yeah. We skip ahead. The show's ending and Sam finds Nicole, who kisses him.
Yeah, but not just that. When you say finds her, he's pushing people out the way.
To get to her.
Elbowing them in the face. As if, don't let her leave. And
when she kisses him, he's convinced again that she's recognised that he is Sam. And says, how did you know? It's like, come on.
Yeah, he's immediately put straight by Nicole, and then we have an awkward exchange as Sam tries to find out about her, even though they apparently left Juilliard together.
Yeah, he asked a stupid question that Ray would know the answer to.
Mm-hmm. So apparently they were a thing during their time.
He's certainly classmates and had a whatever relationship of some
kind. Sounds like it. And she says that after they left, well, he knows what happened in the first 2 years, so we're imagining they were still in touch, certainly, but perhaps still in a relationship.
Yeah.
He leaves to tour Europe or wherever it was, doing his thing, and they go their separate ways.
Yeah, they correspond for a while, but he stops writing back, which she asks about, and he says he couldn't forget her.
And he's able to sort of bluff things out before being a little bit smooth. I say smooth, it'd be smooth if he wasn't totally immoral here and unethical and doing it to the wrong person, but he flatters her and she kisses him until they are interrupted by Charlie reminding him of the next rehearsal time.
Yeah, so has she just joined the cast? I didn't understand where she'd come from, if she was always in the cast.
No.
This is weird.
No,
we'll find out in a minute, but at this point,
right.
It's like, where's she come from?
Yeah.
Why does he already know her?
Charlie walks off and Nicole continues bringing Sam up to speed with what she has been up to.
I kept track of you in Variety until you did Camelot in London. Then I lost you.
Yeah, well, you know how the road is. You tend to leap around a lot. How about you?
Well, I'm back teaching piano, or I was until today. I was cast this afternoon to understudy Dulcinea.
That's great. It's great.
When I saw the ad for the open audition, I just had to give it one more try. And when they hired me, well, Ray, what if we got to perform together? Oh, wouldn't that be terrific?
Yeah. Well,
dear God, it is she, sweet lady, fair virgin. I dare not gaze full upon thy countenance, lest I be blinded by beauty. But I implore thee, speak once thy name.
Nicole.
Nicole
is an old friend of mine.
Mr. O'Malley.
John.
I know this is going to sound so hokey, but you were my inspiration.
Inspiration is never hokey, my dear. You sing?
I'm understudying Dulcinea.
Splendid! Oh, I look forward to performing with you.
Oh, it will be a thrill.
I assure you the thrill will be all mine. Now that you are a member of our illustrious troupe, you must attend our obligatory opening night party. Promises to be an evening of merriment and misadventure. Come along, Ray.
I'm going to hammer the point again, but from that clip there, it's clear that the real Ray stopped communicating, stopped writing with...
Actively cut off communication.
Yeah. Didn't want any more to do with Nicole. Certainly from a relationship.
Fair decision. He's entitled to make that decision.
And now Sam is forcing this relationship back together again for his own ends.
Yeah, literally.
Scumbag behaviour.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
What's not disgusting is John O'Malley.
He's brilliant, isn't he? He certainly reminds me of the actors of that period. Guys like Peter O'Toole.
Yeah, Oliver Reed, maybe not
Yeah.
guys.
Oliver Reed, certainly the drinking, but I think Reed was more boisterous, more aggressive.
Yeah, there's a dark side to John as well that we're going to see a wee bit later on.
Oh, there certainly is. Yeah.
As they leave the theatre or move away from the stage, we hear Charlie and Dolores discussing the fact that they knew that O'Malley would go for her.
Yeah. So, the party, the cast.
Some kind of soiree.
Yeah, it's a nightclub or a bar. John enters with Nicole on his arm, followed by Sam. He's like the third wheel now.
Yeah.
As he receives a round of applause and he bursts into a comical song.
Oh, he charms everybody with his song and introduces Nicole to the current Dulcinea.
Yes.
Michelle.
Now, Michelle, I have to say, right up front, lovely, gorgeous.
Yeah, very attractive externally.
Yeah, yes. I remember her from... There's something in the back of my mind that means that I shouldn't... There's something that disappointed me. I think she might be quite rabidly right-wing. I'm not sure.
Okay, the character or the actor?
No, the actor.
Well, she's not... She's only playing a character here. It's the character that you like.
No, it's not. But she was gorgeous. She was in Northern Exposure. Did you ever watch that?
Everyone in this was in Northern Exposure.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
I didn't watch it, but...
It's a good
yeah.
show. I think you'd probably like it.
Okay. It appears that there's something between Michelle and Ray which leaves Nicole feeling put out, although we heard earlier on, I think Dolores saying that Michelle's never quite managed to get, or managed to persuade Ray to go along with her.
Sure. Obviously, that's her target. She's using... would like to use him as a means of advancing her career, getting the parts.
Because it's heavily implied that they're involved.
Yeah.
But we know they're not from what was said earlier.
Well, it depends when you say they're not. Perhaps they haven't consummated anything, but it may well be that they're...
Somebody says that they're never out of her room.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Peter. Sorry, John. That's you giving me Peter. It's John who is about to tell Nicole that Ray and Michelle are never out of the hotel room.
Okay.
So obviously he's up to something even from this stage.
Sure. He leaves them anyway for another woman, and Michelle tries to laugh things off by claiming that she can't see how she can be the old Dulcinea, and manages to congratulate Nicole on her new position.
Not the most wholehearted congratulation.
No, and I mean, I can understand as well that if you've got an understudy brought in, you would be naturally be wary and suspicious.
Yeah, especially if it's someone new, someone fresh, someone that's just got through an audition process.
And who the leading man is obviously...
enamoured by,
yeah. But she scathingly remarks that she hopes Nicole likes the Sunday matinees, as she isn't usually worth a damn after a Saturday night, and seductively tries to get Sam to confirm this, which clearly unsettles Nicole.
Indeed.
John then calls the three of them over to a couch.
He does. He asks Sam to go away and refresh their drinks.
Yes, two of his usual, which are suitable for misadventures.
Sam gets a little bit... So he insists on only bringing Nicole the drink that she ordered, and...
Yeah, he's a bit of a wet blanket, Sam. Not just that, it's because we know why he's doing it. It's so that he's trying to control her here.
Yeah, he's trying to worm his way in.
Yeah.
It's not that he's being like the gentleman here who doesn't want her to be over intoxicated.
No, he does what he probably does, but as long as it's him that's doing it.
Yes. Yeah, he's trying to get John out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
In here, yes, while he goes to get those drinks, as I said earlier, John tells Nicole that Sam and Michelle are at it like rabbits.
Yeah. At the bar, Sam tries to, as you mentioned, order sensible drinks, but is stopped in his tracks by Michelle, apparently giving him some sort of a massage.
Well, I've said Michelle starts fluffing Sam at the bar.
That's what it looks like.
He certainly reacts in that way.
Yeah, but fortunately, or unfortunately, this is interrupted by the drunk Manny, who claims he knows what she wants.
And it's him.
Yeah, and forces his way between the two of them.
She says she doesn't want Manny, she wants Ray, but Sam has managed to slide away with the drinks that he wanted to order, and finds O'Malley half passed out in Nicole's lap.
It says something in this episode that neither Manny or Al are the most unscrupulous and creepy.
Yeah, I thought it might have been a more interesting story if Michelle and Ray were involved.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam had to negotiate out of that as well as trying to get in with Nicole.
Yeah. He shouldn't be trying to get in with anyone, really.
No, but if that was... Yeah, he had to manoeuvre his way around an extra obstacle there.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's not.
So, Sam brings these drinks over. He thinks John has had enough.
No, but he senses the drink is near and rouses himself.
Yeah. And says he'll make the decision, and promptly does so when he nearly falls over and calls for Dolores to get his armour and his sword as she helps him to walk out, and he sings a farewell ditty and gets another round of applause from
He does, and Sam looks a bit peeved. But then he proposes a toast to Dulcinea, and Nicole responds with one to old friends, which could be seen as friend zoning if you hadn't been trying to kiss him all day.
Yeah. And they share a moment. There's a little connection there.
Yeah.
Well, certainly from Sam's perspective.
Well,
probably reading too much into it. She knows who I am, and she's quite happy to have sex with me, Sam.
Me, Sam, not Ray.
It's not Ray. It's perfectly fine. There's nothing immoral about this whatsoever.
Somehow he ends up back at her house.
Yeah, we fade to Sam looking at an old picture of Nicole and her former pupil. So is he in this picture, do you think?
No.
He's not? Okay.
I don't think so. I think they would have made a bigger deal out of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's trying to convince himself that he's always loved Nicole and it wasn't just puppy love as a 15-year-old.
Yes, he thinks that he's actually never gotten over her.
That doesn't fit with anything we've heard.
What about Donna?
Exactly.
So the whole situation with Donna was just a lie. She wasn't his true love.
Well, either he just always thinks whoever he's with right now is his true love.
Let's say he's like Norman from Jonathan Craig. He just loves, that's his weakness.
That's his problem, he loves too much, yeah.
Creepy guy.
He gets to the piano and he plays an exercise that he thinks must be unique to him, but is close to devastated when Nicole says she does recognise that, but no idea who it was that used to play it.
She also refers to the picture, says that's her kids that she teaches, and they had a recital a few months ago, and it got me thinking, I've not really thought about this before, it's never come up, but I wonder if there's an episode, I mean, Sam, just like in Back to the Future, can Sam meet himself?
Don't know, we'll find out, maybe.
Yeah. See, it's different if you meet yourself as an adult, you recognise there's these major problems, but if you to meet a kid, you as a kid, you wouldn't know that's who you are.
Of course.
So it could be okay.
Maybe it's already happened.
Give him some advice. That you always think to yourself, I wish I'd known that back then. It's like,
have you ever been given advice by a wise old man that you've come across in the street and you looked vaguely familiar?
That's a point, isn't it? Just that one time, but I don't know what I was told. I shouted for the police. I ran away.
Your life's not been the same since.
No.
Nicole at this point tries to reminisce about their Juilliard days, and Sam's kind of trying to play along and not commit to anything because he doesn't know anything about this. Yeah,
they talk about how they're now older and wiser and tireder. She then goes on to reveal that she got disillusioned with auditioning in New York and decided on an easier option of teaching in Syracuse.
He then tries to out himself by saying he had a crush on his piano teacher when he was 15.
He just won't.
Yeah. He can't. He's desperate for her to realise he's Sam and that she loved him all along.
But she didn't.
That's what he wants. He wants her to say, oh yes, I was in love with a 15-year-old student.
That's the thing, isn't it? She would not. This is entirely one way. You were a child.
Yes, and she was your teacher.
Yeah, she's not interested. She doesn't have this connection with you. It's not like...
It's all in his head.
It's not like remember the Donna episode?
Yes.
Where they used to be a thing so you could sort of understand that. But this is entirely one way. She doesn't know. She doesn't have this memory that you've got, or that this memory of a relationship.
So romanticised, yeah.
It didn't exist.
No.
You're a weirdo.
Yes. However, she takes it well, saying that he probably just has a thing for all piano teachers, and they kiss once more, and he starts to feel a bit uncomfortable.
So he should.
But then he goes into his usual spiel when he feels like he's making a close connection with somebody and tries to tell them who he really is.
Oh, this is infuriating. Just stop it.
I'm not Ray. She's totally under my cuts at the middle, saying, oh no, I'm not the same Nicole, I understand. And he's like, Pitiful. And they go off and have sex.
Well, yeah, understandably, she doesn't take this the way he means, they're different people, but not literally. And they kiss again, and Sam really goes for it.
Yeah.
This isn't, I can almost accept that he shouldn't be doing this.
He's fulfilling a childhood fantasy at her expense.
Yes, it's terrible. I can almost accept that if she, in these situations he finds himself, if the woman is the instigator.
Sure, and he goes along.
But like in this case here, he's
driving the bus.
He really is driving the bus. It'll be not the only thing he's riding.
Well, yes. No, as little is left to doubt here.
They bang.
Yeah, that's literally what I've written in my notes.
Good. Back at theatre.
Next day, Sam's sitting in the stalls watching Nicole getting ready, but
he's got a glow about him, obviously.
yeah, he's surprised to be asked to join the rehearsal because John doesn't rehearse. You think he might have taken some time last night instead of his extracurricular activities to maybe read through the
No.
book?
Nope. He's going to bang that chick he fancied when he was a kid.
There's an awkward moment, but after getting prompts for a couple of lines, Al thankfully shows up to save the day with some absolute garbage.
Explain.
He says Sam has a photographic memory. Now, that doesn't mean that you can look at something and immediately remember it. It just means that when you remember things, they look like pictures.
Yeah.
It's not a case of total instant recall.
Yeah.
So, nonsense. Anyway, Al figures out, however, through this process, from Sam's very romantic acting, that something is going on. He's not entirely playing a character here.
Al's not the only one impressed by Sam's performance, as John enters at this point, clapping his hands and admitting he has never seen such passion from him before, but understands why as he gives Nicole a little nod, a little raise of the eyebrow. He then asks her to sing a piece for him and tells Ray to take 5, dismisses the boy.
Get out.
She, however, misses her beat to come in, but regains her composure and begins. But it is not the most convincing of starts, as noted by the apparently disappointed lead. But she manages to turn it around, and as she improves, Sam gazes on like a puppy, and Al works out what went on the previous night.
I've seen that look before, Sam.
What look?
That last night the earth moved look.
Why does he say these things? Sweet Dulcinea.
You're out of control, Sam.
In case you haven't noticed, Al, it's been a long time since I've been in control.
You know what I mean. You can't tell anyone who you really are. You can't change your personal history. You can't...
I can't have a life. All I do is live someone else's life. I right their wrongs, fight their fights. Geez, I feel like I'm Don Quixote.
He loved pure and chaste from afar. Well, that part was never big with me either.
I love her, Al.
Oh, Sam. Does she know that?
After last night, she does.
Why does he want these things?
She spent last night with Ray Hutton.
Why does he batter at
I may look like him, but she was with me. My heart, my soul.
You can't stay here with her, Sam.
Why not?
It's not up to you to stay here. It's up to him.
What does he want of me? What does he want of me?
So a few things about that. As mentioned, if Al tells you you're out of control,
Yeah, that's saying something, isn't it?
yeah. And I was half expecting when Al asked him there, does she know that you love her? And he says, well, after last night, she does. It's like I was waiting for a high five, and
Yeah, some kind of... Yes.
do you think Al ever would ever turn up when Sam was doing something?
He might, depending on the circumstances.
Would be quite useful. Al knows what he's doing in that department for sure, or he certainly gives the impression. It'd be good if he turns up and gives them that, like
Coaching?
Coaching, yeah. Now do this, do that, put your hand there, do that bit.
Yes, because he's with one of Al's ex-wives.
Yeah.
And he knows what she likes.
Yeah. Wonder how off-putting that would be, Al shouting at you. I mean, he's quite happy in other circumstances to be
Oh, absolutely.
guided by someone who knows more.
We almost had that in the Mafia one. Remember, we had to be back in the same position.
Exactly, yeah.
I like the reference to Don Quixote loving people pure and chaste from afar, because that was pretty much what Sam's method was in most of the episodes until he decides, oh no, I'm not going to follow that rule now. Like even when he was playing someone who was married to somebody, he wouldn't touch them.
Yeah.
It's only okay if he likes them personally.
For sure, yeah. Even if it would,
Even though he's deceiving them by...
Yeah, I mean, I entirely agree. In some situations, actually, perhaps you should take one for the team, because that's what would be expected of your character.
Yes.
It doesn't...
And he won't, but then feels justified if he is attracted to the women.
Scumbag behaviour.
Even though he's doing this under false pretenses.
Also, I didn't like the fact in that clip there he was moaning about how he doesn't have a life. Now, up to this point, I don't know what the backstory is here yet, but up to this point, all I know is that he jumped into the imaging chamber.
Yeah, and disappeared.
This is his doing. If you didn't
voluntary action,
if you didn't want this lifestyle, this life, then you shouldn't have done that.
But then maybe he just doesn't remember that he wanted it.
Yeah, well. Nicole finishes to a round of applause and a huge compliment from John, who now wants her to do the local benefit performance on Wednesday.
Given that she's a local girl.
Seems like that's the thing, if you are an understudy, you should be given these...
Occasional.
It's like if you're
even Michelle said you could get the Sunday matinees.
Yeah.
But in the bar, Michelle's now upset that Miss Amateur Hour has been given her part. However, she has a plan.
What's that?
After fending off Manny, she tells Sam that Nicole has headed upstairs with John, and tells Manny, once Sam leaves, to tell Nicole that she and Ray have gone upstairs together, and if he does so, then he can come up and have sex with her.
Pretty much. I mean, I'd be up for that if I was Manny.
Manny's very much up for that.
All you need to do is tell one little lie and you get to...
Yeah, and then you can rescind your lie afterwards, which he also tries to do.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to Manny.
Yeah.
Because she's not getting any scruples here. I wouldn't...
They should have shown Manny the next day coming in high-fiving everybody.
Yeah. No, I'm with Manny on this one. If she thinks that's fine, if she's willing to effectively prostitute herself.
Yeah. I do think that some of the others are a bit harsh on Manny later, afterwards. But anyway, we'll get to that. Up in John's room, Sam arrives and John quickly cottons on to what's happening.
Yeah, Sam demands to speak with... Well, when I say demands, at first he's a bit sheepish, but then he asked to speak to Nicole. Now, there's a female voice singing from the bathroom.
Yeah. And
John doesn't say, yeah, she's in there or she's not, that's not her. He simply says, well, wait a moment.
Yep.
I'm not sure what his plan here was because...
I don't think he expected Sam to wait.
Really?
He thinks Sam will get the message from the fact that she's in the shower.
Oh, that's a chance you're taking because...
Well, if the other girl comes out, he just has a laugh. He says, old boy, it was just a...
It's quite quick thinking then. If he's worked all that out on the spot.
Well, I think he's just having him on and he can go either way and he'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, Sam walks off in disgust and we see that it was in fact not Nicole, but another woman.
Anita?
Yeah. I think, was that the girl from the bar earlier on when he left him and he went and spoke to a woman in the bar?
Possibly, yeah. I think she's called Anita because of the character in West Side Story.
You think so, yeah?
That would be a guess.
Okay.
Next day on stage, Sam is tinkering on the piano and Al's there.
He's quite forlorn. He's
a bit morose, yeah. Things haven't gone his way, so he's in a huff.
He's like an adolescent boy who's been dumped or whatever, isn't he? He's just kicking his heels and feeling sorry for himself.
He tells Al he's not going to save John from his fall. He's just going to watch him and laugh. He doesn't say that, but that's implied.
Yeah. Annoyed, Al warns him that he can still leap even if he refuses to do what he's meant to be doing, and is surprised when Sam doesn't have a desire to stay anymore.
Indeed. So Sam then has to tell Al that Nicole rehearsed with John in his hotel room, and Al says that women just don't understand the double standard.
No, they can't be trusted. Women, I mean, it's a well-known fact.
Indeed. Sam still isn't inclined to save John, which leaves Al worried.
Yeah, he asks him if he wants to hang around being Ray. And after a moment of contemplation, Sam simply gets up and leaves without answering. We next head to the dressing room, where we find Dolores helping Nicole get ready for her big night before they are joined by the devious Michelle.
Oh, nervous, huh?
No, just terrified.
It's been a while.
5 years.
Oh, you'll be great. Here we go. And if you're not, what can they do? Throw a little garbage, get the hook, huh? Oh, just help yourself.
Oh, this hangover's worse than Philadelphia.
You had to get loaded to perform last night, huh?
You gonna let her go on like that?
What's wrong?
Nothing. I guess you did the best with what you got.
Don't mind her, honey. She's just embarrassed about what happened last night.
What happened?
Huh. You must be the only one who didn't hear. She spent the night with Manny.
Manny?
Yeah, can you believe it?
I thought that she and Ray were close.
Whew. Ray wouldn't touch her with Don Quixote's lance. I can't figure why she let Manny in now. He must have done her one hell of a favor.
I like the fact that Manny's obviously been boasting about it.
Yeah. I'm concerned that they think this is embarrassing that somebody would be involved with Manny. He seems a perfectly nice guy.
No, he's a creep.
Well, apart from that, I wonder though if it's specifically in the context of Michelle. Like, she obviously has shown no interest in Manny and therefore is embarrassed that she's got involved, rather than anyone who slept with Manny would be embarrassed about it.
But Manny's he's been acting like a bit creepy the whole episode.
Has he?
Yes, pushing in between them at the bar. I know what you want. You want it from me. What sort of patterns?
Just having fun.
Yeah. Also, I like the fact that it doesn't seem a big deal that, Michelle basically does act like a prostitute. It's accepted. It's like, oh, he's done her a favour, therefore she'll give him sex.
Yeah. That's the basis. They figured that she's done a transaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's up to her.
Yeah, sure.
In the wings, Nicole comes through, but Sam isn't inclined to make plans with her for after the show.
No, this is during the 1 minute warning. Drunk John then appears and apologises for the assumed disappointment of Sam not getting to perform again, and takes the stairs to the stage, and isn't particularly delighted with Sam's genuine wish for him to break a leg.
Indeed. At the last minute, however, when John is about to take his fall and end his career, Sam's conscience takes over. Yeah,
we see John at the top of the steps. The curtains open and he sort of stumbles at first and then loses his balance and plummets. But, as you mentioned, Sam rushes over and breaks his fall.
Not that John's particularly grateful.
No, well, I think he is, because cast and crew gather round and it's clear that only his pride has been damaged. But when Charlie asks if he's going to perform that night, he initially says, yeah, of course, but then stops and he glances and he looks at Sam and changes his mind. I think that's an offering here. I'll give you this as a thanks.
Maybe. So they reset, and before they head back on stage, Sam now tells Manny to break a leg.
And I think he means that as well.
I'm pretty sure. Because Manny has confessed to him now what happened the night before.
Yeah.
So that leaves Sam now a little bit clearer on Nicole.
Indeed. So he takes centre stage and
performs.
Yeah, very confidently and assuredly.
Didn't need to take many notes for the rest of the show.
No, we've got a montage of the rest of his work.
Yeah. On the stage, though, he whispers to Nicole that he loves her.
She responds with a kiss before we see her perform her big number.
In the wings, Michelle tells O'Malley that Ray will never be as good as him, although I think the implication is that maybe he's doing a pretty decent job.
Yeah.
Al watches on with pride as Sam completes the performance.
Yeah, he asks him if he'll be all right, and Sam has managed to regain his composure and answers yes in character before leaping
into a man in a graveyard before a ghost shows up.
Well, it's certainly a woman in white flowing robes who appears from a doorway.
I think interesting credits as the credits roll, the production team and the actors from the episode all take a bow, including Dean Stockwell and others.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite funny. It reminded me a bit of, was it Murder, Smoke and Shadows when Columbo's the ringmaster at the end?
At the very end, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit surreal.
Yeah. I thought it was quite a fun episode.
It was a fun episode. Let's say the stakes weren't massive, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No. Have you ever seen The Man from La Mancha?
I have read Don Quixote.
But you've not been to see the show?
No.
Would you go now, having watched this, if it came to town?
Yeah, I mean, I would go, yeah.
Any other thoughts on this episode?
No.
Other than that Sam, we've talked about him being...
Yeah, just Sam is just despicable.
He's a bad man.
And Al, I mean, we do get these episodes where Al isn't, it's not very Al heavy.
It's very Al light, yeah.
Yeah. Disappointing. Yeah. Al's always a good addition.
Well, he keeps Sam on the straight and narrow.
Mm-hmm.
This one originally aired on the 6th of December 1989 and was directed by Donald Belisario himself.
Oh, was it?
This is the only episode that he's the director for, but we'll keep his bio back for a future season.
Sure.
Paul Brown wrote the episode, 3rd of 13, so hear more about him back on the Kamikaze Kid podcast, season 1. John O'Malley was played by John Columbo. This was his only Quantum Leap episode. He's a Tony Award winner, and he's starred in many Broadway shows, but in terms of his screen career, perhaps best known for Northern Exposure. He's also appeared on shows like ER, Law & Order, SVU, and Mad Men, and he's now 92 and remains active.
Very good. He was good.
Yeah. Michelle Pock played Nicole, again her only Quantum Leap appearance, and another actor with a Tony Award in her cabinet. She's got a glittering Broadway career, but on screen she's been seen in various different iterations of Law & Order, playing 7 or 8 different characters. She's been in All My Children, she was in Madam Secretary. She's now 60 years old. She still performs, as well as teaching acting, directing and film studies at Wagner College on Staten Island.
Robert Wagner College.
Could be. Janine Turner played Michelle. This is the one that you're concerned about?
I'm not concerned at all. Well,
this was her only Quantum Leap episode. She was kind of brought up as a performer. Her screen career began in Dallas as a teenager, before she was in shows like Happy Days, General Hospital, Northern Exposure and Friday Night Lights, as well as being obviously prominent in the Stallone movie Cliffhanger.
Yes.
She had a child with Jerry Jones, the billionaire owner of the Dallas Cowboys franchise, I think, while he was married to somebody else, perhaps.
Okay.
She's been engaged to Alec Baldwin.
Really?
And various other celebrity romances, and she remains an active performer. She's now 59.
Yeah. I will apologise if I've done her a misservice by classing her as a sort of quite a right-wing person, but...
Maybe she is.
Maybe she is.
Who knows?
I should probably have checked into that.
Yeah. Ernie Sabella played Manny, his only Quantum Leap episode, probably best known as the voice of Pumbaa from the Lion King movie and all the various spin-offs from that. He's also appeared in shows like The Good Wife, Blue Bloods, Seinfeld, and one episode of Sledgehammer.
Yes.
He was Al Fresco in The Secret of My Excess.
Mm-hmm.
He's now 73, though his last screen credit was in 2019.
Okay.
So maybe taking the pandemic off, waiting for another Lion King movie. Paul Sand played Charlie, who's the man at the side of the stage. This was his only Quantum Leap appearance. He also appeared on shows like Murder, She Wrote, The X-Files and Curb Your Enthusiasm. When he was 18, he visited Paris to study with the acclaimed mime artist Marcel Marceau.
Really?
And he went on to be an original member of the Second City Comedy Troupe in Chicago.
Ah, very good. I recognise him from an episode of Murder, She Wrote, one of the earlier ones where it was an authors' convention.
Okay.
He played, I think, a poet. Good episode.
He's 90 now, and he remains active.
Oh, right.
He looked younger in the show.
Yeah, I want to look. Maybe in his 40s. This is what...
Anyway. Myra Turley played Dolores. This was her only Quantum Leap episode. Her career has lasted almost 40 years, including appearances on shows like Breaking Bad, Mad Men, and Arrested Development. She's now 75. She remains active. As we mentioned, closing credits ran over the curtain call. Man of La Mancha is a real musical, derived from Don Quixote. It's not quite the same story, I don't think. Interesting, when John Cullum played John O'Malley here, he was the understudy for the role of Don Quixote during the original Broadway run of The Man of La Mancha. And the guy who played the part normally was Richard Kiley, who of course played Halperin in the Columbo episode of Friend Indeed.
Nice one, that's good trivia, I like that.
Due to royalties owed for the songs from this show, the episode's very rarely rerun, so hopefully our clips don't get trademark out, copyrighted out.
Yeah.
It's considered that the creative team behind Quantum Leap saw the show as a modern day equivalent to Don Quixote's efforts to right wrongs, which makes this perhaps a more meaningful episode for the people putting it together. Maybe that's why they had the curtain call.
Yeah.
Al mentions being a fan of Oklahoma. In real life, Dean Stockwell's father, Harry, was very well known for playing the lead in Oklahoma. In terms of things that we learned, Sam and Al listened to Man of La Mancha during the time they put the Quantum Leap project together. Sam took piano lessons as a child, though we could probably work that out from the fact he played Carnegie Hall as a teenager.
Yes.
He had a crush on his piano teacher. Al got out of the orphanage through theatre.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope, covered it all.
Okay, well next week we've got A Portrait for Troyan, where Sam has to deal with a voice from beyond the grave.
Until then,
we'll see you in 1971. Cheerio.
Bye-bye.